Hello everyone, and welcome back for another week of Greek mythology. This week we will be learning about the creation of mortals. And now let us turn our attention to the subject of mortals. For so long, Zeus and the other gods had a lot to fill their time with, between their war with the Titans and dividing up control of the world. But now things were beginning to slow down and fall into a predictable rhythm. Zeus became bored with a capital B. Hanging out with the other gods, playing with the nymphs, and creating storms was fine, but he felt like something was missing from the world. One day he was spending time with his best friend Prometheus, one of the Titans that had helped him in the war. Zeus had the idea to create new beings to release into the world. Beings that would be exactly like the gods, just much smaller and weaker. Beings that would adore and worship the gods, and that the gods in turn could play with and be amused by. Zeus needed Prometheus's help to create them, since Prometheus was a bit of a craftsman. The two best friends traveled all over the world, looking for the best clay out of which Prometheus would craft these new beings. Zeus had one condition. All of these beings had to be male, because he imagined that Hera would grow jealous if there were more females in the world. Using Zeus's divine saliva, Prometheus set to work, asking Zeus to leave and return at nightfall once the clay had baked in the sun. Prometheus spent all day working, lovingly creating these new beings. He created them in many different varying colors and shades of bronze, black, brown, white, yellow, red, green, purple, and blue. He was quite proud of those last few colors. Later that night, Zeus returned. However, in his eagerness, he rushed to the riverbank and squashed the green, purple, and blue beings. And that is why there are no green, purple, or blue people today. Zeus had brought Athena with him, since she had the power to breathe life into them. And so these beings came to life, created from the four classical elements: clay from the earth, spit or water from Zeus, fire from the sun, and wind from Athena's breath. These beings were in immediate awe of the gods and began to bow and worship them, something that Zeus was very excited about. Prometheus, on the other hand, was eager to befriend them and teach them everything. While Zeus did not have a problem with Prometheus befriending his beloved creations, he did forbid his friend from teaching them how to use fire. Zeus feared that if these beings were to get a hold of fire, they would think themselves equal to the gods and rise up against them, and this was something that Zeus could not allow to happen. Zeus gave these beings the name Anthrops, which means that which is below. This is still the Greek word for man or human, and is also where we get the word anthropology, the study of humans. A little while later, Prometheus, who spent most of his time amongst his mortal creations, felt that they not only needed, but deserved fire. And not just fire, but the divine fire kept on Mount Olympus, which would also ignite creativity, imagination, and thought within them. Prometheus loved the mortals so much that he was willing to risk Zeus's wrath in order to give them this gift. One night, while the other gods were having a party, Prometheus snuck up to Mount Olympus to Hephaestus's forge and lit a torch that he carried down to the mortals. Prometheus worked quickly, moving from village to village, teaching the mortals how to use fire, how to cook and bake, how to forge tools and weapons. With this fire came the inspiration for so much more. It would only take a few nights before Zeus would look down from Mount Olympus and see the light of fire dotting the countryside. He knew exactly what had happened, and he knew exactly who had done it. To say that Zeus was angry, even furious, would be an understatement. Zeus did not want to punish his best friend, but Prometheus directly disobeyed him. Prometheus loved the mortals more than he loved Zeus, and that was something Zeus could not stand. Now Zeus knew that the damage had been done. The mortals had fire, and so he would allow his friends some time to teach them how to use it before enacting his punishment. But the time came eventually. Prometheus accepted his punishment and went without a fight. Zeus led the Titan up to the summit in the Caucasus Mountains. Prometheus was chained there and doomed to be attacked by vultures every day until the end of eternity, with no way to defend himself. This is where we will leave Prometheus for now. But don't worry, in this case, eternity isn't forever. Prometheus will once again be free, but that is a story for another time. Now Zeus wasn't finished handing out punishment. The mortals had to be put to their place, and so Zeus put his plan in motion. He asked Hephaestus to craft a being much like Prometheus had out of clay. This one was to be female. Athena once again breathed life into clay. This young woman was educated by the gods and given a mysterious jar that she was told never to open. This woman's name was Pandora, which means the all-given. Hermes escorted Pandora to the home of Epimetheus, Prometheus's brother, who also preferred to live amongst the mortals. Epimetheus and Pandora fell in love immediately, and they were married. All would have been well if Pandora hadn't been so curious. She knew she mustn't open the jar. She had given her word after all. But why on earth had the gods told her not to open it? That must mean that there was something amazing inside. So one night, Pandora snuck out of bed, intending just to have a small peek inside the jar, just the tiniest of peeks. But that was all it took, for inside the jar Zeus had hidden all sorts of unpleasant things. Nyx, the night, one of the early deities, had had many children, and these children that had been born out of the night were truly terrifying. Out of the jar flew hardship, hunger, pain, anarchy, lies, quarrels, disputes, wars, battles, and violence. Pandora quickly sealed the jar shut again, trapping one last child of Nyx inside, and that child was Hope. Pandora had released many horrible things into the world that would cause great suffering for the mortals, but she stopped Hope from slipping away. Mortals got to keep hope for themselves. And now the stage is set. We have the Olympians, we have the mortals. We have hardship, and we have hope. The Greek world is about to explode with lots of amazing stories. So that ends the series entitled Out of Chaos, which were the beginning myths. Join me again next week when we begin exploring other stories in Greek mythology.